So today we're going to take a look at what's going to happen if Norway tries to form an empire in the modern day. This video is going to be very unrealistic. All the events that are going to happen are purely fictional. Major alliances like NATO, CSTO, the EU or the UN, they do not exist in my videos. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. But with all those things said, now let's get right into the video. In order to form an empire in the modern day, we can see that the Norwegians start off by militarizing their country. Already they have a pretty good economy, and if they start to spend that money on their military, they can actually have a pretty formidable one. They started off with their navy. Right after that, we can see that they declare war on the Danish. So yeah, now let's see. We can see that the Norwegian navy now has arrived on the coast of Denmark. They make a naval landing up in the north. The Danish send most of their military up here, because of which the Norwegians now send down their military down here, right next to their capital. They make a naval landing in a very undefended capital city, and these guys start to push around. Eventually, the armies here also got destroyed. The remaining parts of Denmark go ahead and surrender. We can see that Denmark got completely annexed by the Norwegian Empire, and with this success, they're not going to stop here. We can see that they further militarize their country, recruiting more and more troops and importing new weapons, also working on a very formidable navy, after which, oh yeah, by the way, they took this too. And after all of that, we can see that they declare war on Iceland. Iceland does not have a military, they only have NATO troops, but in our scenarios, NATO just does not exist. We can see that the Norwegians make a naval landing down here. They start to push around. They secure the highly populated regions of Iceland. Yeah, eventually they push up, capturing the capital city. Remaining parts of Iceland surrender. And in a peace negotiation, we can see that all of Iceland got completely annexed by the Norwegian Empire. The Norwegian Empire now has created this kind of a belt in the Northern Sea. Still, they don't want to stop. With all of this militarization happening, and after having a formidable navy, they continue with this expansion, now going ahead and declaring war on Estonia. We can see that the Norwegian navy now has arrived on the coast of Estonia. They were able to make a naval landing in the western parts, and they now start to push into the mainland without facing much resistance. They eventually get the capital city of Tallinn. They push down and capture this region. They continue their push into Estonia until most of the armies were destroyed. The remaining parts of Estonia go ahead and surrender. And in a peace negotiation, we can see that all of Estonia got completely annexed by the Norwegian Empire. At this point, the countries around the Norwegian Empire are worried. These countries include Sweden, Germany, the Baltic nations. One country is not worried, and that is going to be Finland, because as of right now, they have some strong ties to the Norwegians. So much so that we can see that both these countries are preparing to declare war on one country, mainly because Norway alone cannot take that country out, so they're gonna need some help here. And after all these preparations, we can see that finally they go ahead and declare war, and they basically wanted to take out Sweden here. Sweden is a very strong country. In a 1v1, it would be hard to take over Sweden, but now it's both Finland and Norway against the Swedish, so things might not be looking good for Sweden here. Let's see. Starting off, the Norwegians push into Sweden, securing these regions because their capital city is very near. They also started pushing from Denmark, where they had some troops, securing the highly populated regions of Sweden. We can see that the Finnish also sent their troops up, who now start to push into Sweden, and right now Sweden is fighting a three-front war. The Swedish do mobilize their armies, and they send them to the front lines. These troops were able to meet up here, and they're securing the coastal regions together. The troops up in the north now push down, securing even more regions. But with the arrival of the Swedish armies, these guys are kind of slowed down, so much so that they are even pushed back a little bit up here too. And during this time, we can see that another country kind of joins this war on the side of Sweden. That country is going to be Latvia. They only joined because at some point they knew that the Norwegians were going to invade them. As they are in the Baltics, they're pretty weak. So it's a good time to jump into this war. We can see that they start their own push into Estonia, or the Norwegian Estonia, securing a lot of regions. Because of this, the Norwegians had to send back a lot of troops, and so the Swedish were able to push them back a little bit. But up in the north, with even more Finnish troops arriving on the front lines, the Swedish do get pushed back. The Latvians are really going all in, putting most of their military into this fight. They eventually did capture Tallinn, and both these islands, and the Norwegians keep getting pushed back. They have lost a lot of regions, but the Finnish do continue their push. Eventually, after Estonia got cut off from everyone, Estonia is kind of liberated. This is a huge blow to the Norwegian morale, as now they're getting pushed back. They also lost Estonia because of this fight, but hey, at least the Finnish are doing doing pretty well in the north. But now the armies that the Norwegians did send to Estonia have now arrived. They make a naval landing up in the north. They quickly capture Tallinn, and now they start to push down. Eventually, Riga was captured, and now Latvia is cut into two parts. But during this time, the Norwegians get so much pushback that they almost get pushed back all the way to their borders. Unfortunately, because of the loss of their capital city and with the destruction of their armies, the Latvians do surrender, and now the Norwegians send back all of these troops to the front lines, and the Swedish are now trying to concentrate most of their troops on these front lines, the front lines with the Finns. So the Norwegians once again start their push, and with the arrival of these troops in Denmark, they now start a push in from here, although up in the north, the Finnish do get pushed back. But the entirety of the Norwegian military now has arrived, and they really go all in, because these southern parts were kinda undefended. These troops also pushed down and were able to meet up with these guys, and now the Swedish are getting pushed back from all sides, as they have used up most of their military equipment and their military itself. Eventually, we can see that both these armies were now able to get to the gates of Stockholm. The capital city was captured. With the destruction of most of their armies, the remaining parts of Sweden do go ahead and surrender. And now we're going to take a look at a peace negotiation here. In a peace negotiation, we can see that Sweden was split up between the Finns and the Norwegians. Most of Sweden was taken by Norway. Also, Latvia just got devastated. They lost the war, they lost their country too. But because of this war, we can see that the Norwegians were very much weakened, and now they're gonna have to rebuild their whole military, which is in ruins right now. Unfortunately for the Norwegians, during this time, something very unexpected happens. The ally that supported them to win this war in Sweden backstabs them because they knew that the Norwegian military was in ruins, and things are not looking good for Norway right now. So yeah, now let's see. Starting off, we can see that the Finns push into Norway or Sweden. They were able to secure a lot of regions because these areas were undefended. The Norwegians are now trying to mobilize all of their forces, also trying to conscript a lot of troops, as once again their military is not doing too well. The Finnish continue their push. They were able to secure a lot of regions down here, even taking Stockholm. The Norwegians are unable to stop these guys right now, but the Norwegians have one trick up their sleeve, which is their good navy. But yeah, right now they're getting pushed back, and the Finns have already made a lot of progress here. The Norwegians do mobilize some of their forces, sending them to the front lines, where they are unable to push back the Finns but have slowed them down. But at this point, the Norwegian navy does come in action, as the Norwegians send all of their navy to the coast of Finland. Most of their military is also on that navy, and this navy makes a naval landing on the coast of Finland here. Now this is a little bit scary for the Finns. They might just lose their capital city. Because of this, they send back a lot of their troops to the mainland, and so they get pushed back here. They get pushed back real bad. And unfortunately for the Finns, because Helsinki was kinda undefended, as they did not expect any naval invasion, they lost their capital city of Helsinki. They're now getting pushed back in Sweden too, and the Norwegians have mobilized most of their forces. Even from Latvia and Estonia, they send in a lot of troops into the mainland, and at some point, the Finns get pushed back all the way to their borders here. But they do arrive on these front lines, where they start to push back the Norwegians. The Norwegians now continue their push up here, now even pushing into their territory, and down here with a lot more Estonian and Latvian troops, the Finns do get pushed back in their mainland. Now knowing that they're about to be cooked, they come down to a peace negotiation with the Norwegians. They kind of surrender, and now let's take a look at a peace negotiation here. In a peace negotiation, Finland just got clapped. Pretty unfortunate for these guys. And yeah, at this point, if somebody declares war on Norway, they're just gonna give up their whole country because they are in ruins. Their whole economy has went down because of the Swedish and the Finnish invasion. Their military is down. They cannot afford another fight, at least as of right now. But then something majestic happens. Even though the US has a lot of hatred for imperialists, they do try to support the Norwegians. They support them economically, also military-wise. Don't know the reason, but they do it, which kind of revives these guys. It revives the dying empire. And after, let's say, decades, the Norwegians are back on track, just like how they used to be, even now more strong, as they have access to all of these regions. The only reason why they had to be back was because they had to expand. We can see that they continue with their expansions. Now we can see that they go ahead and declare war on Lithuania, which was the last of the Baltic nations. So let's say they start pushing in from the western parts, securing the coastal regions, and with that, now we can see that they push in from the east. Most of the Lithuanian armies were destroyed. Their capital city was captured. With the destruction of most of their armies and their capital city captured, Lithuania surrenders. Lithuania also got completely annexed by the Norwegian Empire. And now the Norwegian Empire is looking pretty buffed, looking much better than they were before. And at this point, the countries around them are super scared. So much so that we can see that they decide to form a coalition against these guys. The Germans, the Polish, and the Dutch, they all decide to form this coalition. This is very much unfortunate as these guys combining their military are much stronger than the Norwegians. So things are not looking good for the Norwegian Empire. But yeah, now let's say something unexpected happens. A very secret ally of the Norwegians now send in a lot of troops to support the Norwegians in this war. These guys were not expecting a very good military from the Norwegians, but they had the support from that secret ally, because of which they turned the tables, and we can see that they started push into Germany. They push in real hard. They secure all of the northern coastline, and the Germans are kind of shocked. The Dutch say GG's. We can see that they also started push into Poland. Polish get scared and they also decide to say GG's. Over here in Germany, we can see that they lost their capital city of Berlin. They are shocked, still in panic, not knowing what to do right now. They had some very different expectations from this war. They thought that they were gonna win this, and now being left alone, they really don't know what to do here. The Polish left them, the Dutch left them, and pretty much we can see that they also kind of go ahead and surrender. And now let's take a look at a peace negotiation. In a peace negotiation, the Norwegians kind of went easy on the Germans, didn't take too much land. The Polish also lost some land. Dutch got away with it, and yeah, this is the Norwegian Empire at its peak. But this is gonna be it for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and tell me what you guys want to see in the future. And thank you for watching.